All right, we are live. We're here, Hi-Fi Turtle, Bass Therapy, and we have Daniel from Malbork.
Hi guys, it's a pleasure to be here. Real honor.
So
What's up, guys?
we were at Axpona 2022, and we saw the Malbork Warsaw, and it was a really cool speaker. And we had to have Daniel come on the show and show off his speaker, and that's where we are today. So, Daniel, why don't you tell us what started Malbork, how you got started, and just about yourself as well?
Okay, well, how Malbork started. Originally, it goes back many years to when I actually got interested in speakers. But I always dreamed of having a company, and I also wanted to make my company one of my passions, which is speakers, audio in general. And Malbork, the virtue of it is to combine art with sound, make speakers that are as much of an aesthetic addition to an environment as they are acoustical. So the name Malbork, for those wondering, comes from a Polish castle, um, and it is the largest by land mass. And when I was looking for a company name many years ago, I went over there to Poland and I saw this castle. I was like, wow, this is impressive. It's visually striking, it's stunning. And I said, that kind of reflects my speakers, what I want to present. And that's where the name came from. So that's how Malbork pretty much originated.
Very cool. So it's just a passion for hi-fi and a passion for high-end audio that got you really into it, or
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you really want to know the backstory of what I got into speakers, this might answer another question. But when I was magnets are my passion as well. All right, I love
okay.
magnets. Growing up, I loved magnets, and I had my whole magnet collection. Matter of fact, you can see it back there. I have a whole stack of them, and that's all just from speakers and subwoofers and everything.
Okay, so just like the
Cool.
ferrite cores.
Pretty much. And I was like, I have so many of these. Maybe I'll hold on to the speakers as well. Like I won't actually keep disassembling them. And then we had a friend, and she would work for a company that sells cigars. So
Okay.
I had this cigar box, and I had these speakers. So I ordered an amplifier board off of eBay, and I put the two together. And I had this little speaker driven by a 9-volt battery, and I took it to school, and I sold it for $20. I lost money on it, but still, I was stoked for the fact that this is pretty cool, And then from then on, I began to further my interest in speakers, and about 3 years ago, I came out with the first prototype for an omnidirectional speaker, which I have right here.
Okay. Oh wow.
These ones were also at Axpona.
Oh yes. Okay, I do remember this. I remember these being outside your room.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so
So
these are like a prototype.
correct. They are a prototype for an omnidirectional design we had, and we were working many years on this to make it sound as good as it looks, and it proved to be very difficult. So even though we were able to get a good sound, we weren't confident in it just yet. So we decided to go with a more, I guess you could say, standard design of a front-facing speaker with front-facing drivers. But that's it. That's the only thing that's conventional about it. Everything else was supposed to be different. So
That is awesome. He just like whips out a prototype. Just like, wait, let me grab my prototype real quick.
yeah,
That's
the
so
one
cool.
the actual one before, when we were experimenting, it looked like this.
Okay.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
so we weren't able to get those mids crispy clear because it really dissipates a lot and loses it. So we wanted to make a quasi tweeter omnidirectional arrangement, and we have the mid range in there, and that's got its own sealed box with the custom crossover and everything. So we worked a lot on this.
Wow, that's really cool. It's awesome
And
to see the evolution.
I'm not saying we're not going to come out with it, because at Axpona we did get a lot of interest in it as well. But we wanted to first get ourselves out there with a speaker that would be a good first impression, and we had to get good sound. So if you want, you can show the speaker right now, because it's still not letting me screen share. It still says I need to restart the browser.
Okay, sure. I'll share my screen. Let's see. Screen 2? No, screen 1 I want to share. Okay. So here we have the Malbork Warsaw, which is a speaker that you had at Axpona.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
We'll cycle through a few pictures here. This is the actual setup that you had at Axpona.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now it wasn't that bright, I'll tell you that. It was not at all that bright, but
yeah.
We pretty much put mirrors behind it, which was something that people were freaking out about. That you can't have mirrors behind, you can't have any glass, no mirrors, no windows, nothing. I said, listen, just sit down and listen, okay? And they were primarily there to accent the design, because it is also a lot of effort put into the side and the back of the speaker. But okay, I'm not gonna go into acoustics yet, because we're not at that point.
Okay, you got some fandom here. Some great looking speakers from Audio System Specialist.
You can see me right there on the photo.
Can you? Oh, yeah, you can see
look.
yeah, you can see it.
I'm just there chilling.
That's awesome. Okay.
That's right.
So I think this is a good question. Next is the what was the inspiration behind the look?
Okay. So also 4 years ago, while we were working on this omnidirectional ones, I just wanted to say, all right, let's make something different, but with potential to sound good, as I said. So I sat down and I just began to design. I started sketching lines, I started making cross sections, everything, and I just began to design. I tried to get inspiration from architecture, actually, and a little bit I pulled from it, but nothing really was coming into play. So after about a few months, I decided, after a lot of evaluation and comments from other people, I said, this is probably the design I'm going to go with. Matter of fact, I have this. Yeah.
Here we go. Here
He goes with the prototype.
There's the sketch, all right? Like,
let me stop sharing my screen for a second, so you can so we can see a little bit bigger.
Yeah. I don't know if we're able to see that.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
So this was like the final sketch after everything was finished, and it looks pretty similar, to be honest.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure.
So that one we chose over a bunch of other ones, such as we were going to make a bookshelf speaker that looked like this, or
wow,
that's insane.
That looks like something from like Halo or something like that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Or we were thinking about one like this as well. And that was originally the goal, to make a bookshelf speaker. But as I was experimenting with it, because I made a wooden MDF replica of a bookshelf, I said, it sounds great. It's got super mids and highs, but obviously the lows aren't there. And our speakers are made of all aluminum. This is a very tedious, very expensive production process. And I said, well, I want to, if someone's already going to spend money on a speaker that much as well, they're probably going to want to have the low end extension there. So we decided to add that lower chamber as well. And that made all the difference. We were able to get superb sound out of a solid aluminum chamber because of its rigidity. It is sealed, but it has a great response, and there is no DSP, no active crossover, nothing. The way the input goes into the amp and comes out is the way the speakers receive it.
Awesome. That bookshelf design, was that a single full range driver, or did you have a tweeter on there as well?
Okay, so one of them was going to be a full range driver.
Okay.
That design on the left, I think, and the one on the right was going to be a tweeter in a mid range.
Gotcha. Okay.
And sealed too, or ported for the
I don't
bookshelf?
know. I didn't get that far.
That's
All
awesome.
right.
That's really cool to see those beginning sketches.
Hey, you said they were sealed, but when we walk into the room, me and Ray, we were impressed by the bass they were producing. Like that's the first thing I heard because I love bass, and then I walked in, I was like, dang, these are good. They're not bright. They're not like hurting my ears. They're playing good songs, good music, and the bass is just perfect. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I think your room was one of maybe like 3 at the entire show where I felt like I didn't walk in and it was just like Tin Pan Alley. Like there was a lot of, there was some dynamic music and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like this has got it going on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. You guys knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
was it just kind of like you wanted to make something very different and that's why kind of the whole uniqueness of it, or did you have like a very certain like inspiration behind that design?
Like that specific design, not really. The one that I came out with at the show, like I said, I couldn't find anything to even get inspired by. I was just sitting down and I just kept doing revisions, kept sketching, kept doing revisions, and kept sketching. And at some point, I just said, okay, this is it. This is how it's going to look. It's ready. And it's supposed to be ultra modern, ultra futuristic, and it's supposed to deviate from the box design. Okay, because I went to previous audio shows just as a spectator. In Florida, we have a lot of high-end dealers here, so I go around those religiously, and boxes, and you have boxes for 10,000, boxes for 100,000, and they sound phenomenal. They really do, but it's I think that there should be something different. There should be something to break the standard for design, break the norm, and introduce something that has shock value, because that's a lot of what our market is based on today. Like with all the designer stuff as well, like, whether it looks good or it looks bad, as long as it catches your attention, it already did its job.
Definitely. So how you respond to people who aren't fans of the look? Because I have to say, I posted the speakers on Instagram a couple times now. I think, we saw a few different people talk about it on YouTube as well. And I don't think you can ever mention your speaker with a lot of praise. There were a lot of people who do like the design, a lot of people who do like it, of course. But there's also, there's at least 1 or 2 comments where people don't really like the look so much. So is that kind of your response there is, what do you want? You want just another box like everyone else?
Exactly. I mean, it's a pretty saturated market. You want boxes, go to Harbeth, or you want boxes, go to like Flip or something. Not to talk down on their companies, they still make very good speakers. There was very diversified opinions on it. When I was at Axpona, there were people who would walk in through the door, not even walk into the door. They'd start walking in, they'd look, and then immediately come back out. I'm like, you didn't even listen, man. And I could hear it because there was at Chicago, there was a lot of Polish people over there. And I speak Polish as well. That's my heritage. So they think I don't understand. Yeah, I understood what they said. And so, they're like, oh, I don't know about design. And they're like, oh, no, this reminds me of Johnny Five from this Short Circuit, That's the one. Or they said, oh, this is like a jet engine or something. And like, whatever you make, as long as, okay, the design, like I said, is up for interpretation. As long as you like the sound, that's good for me. And that we managed to get everyone's agreement on, is they like the sound. Almost everyone. So
yeah, I think it kind of looks a little jet engine-ish, but I would say, it's definitely cool. I like this design for sure. I think it's a cool design, jet engine in a positive way.
I like the aluminum things going around it. I think it's awesome. But you can't satisfy everyone, right?
No.
Not everyone. Yeah, it's impossible. If you try that, you're going to lose your mind, and then you're just not going to make anything because...
Yeah.
But I think Yeah, you
Yeah,
did a great job.
even in our group, as we saw, me and Base here like the look of the speaker, but then our buddy Giles
Giles.
in his live stream, he did forgot the name of your speaker, but he was like, "This is probably the ugliest speaker of the show, but it sounded really good." We were like, "That's like freaking Giles." What a
Yeah.
guy.
Listen, that's completely fine.
We love Giles. We love Home Theater Fanatics. Shout out Home Theater Fanatics. He's the big
No,
home.
like I said,
Honesty. He was honest, right? Honesty
exactly.
important.
And that's the other thing. I love to hear the honesty. Okay, there were some people who'd talk to me in the room, and because my father was the one kind of inviting people in, he was at the door because it was both of us over there, and they're like, yeah, this is cool and everything, and then they go out and they talk with my father and tell him something completely different. I'm like, come on, man, be honest about it. This is what it is. I would sit in the room and I'd straight up ask people, so what do you think? What's your opinion? You like it or not? And only after the show, when you know where to look, do you really, really hear what the reality is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that the majority of people who didn't like the speaker, well, there was very few of them, but there was the old school people, like older guys, and they were kind of used to the old style, and they were like, this isn't. They would go to the point of saying this isn't really a speaker, this can't really be considered a speaker anymore. I'm like, what do you mean, man? But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that
you?
I'm going to go a little off on here, but do you feel like you faced like some struggle or hardship, or you felt like people underestimated your speaker or maybe you yourself, just being someone so young?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wanted to keep it my age completely concealed, so nobody can know about it. Even though somehow people still figured it out.
So you didn't actually tell anyone like I am, I'm 20 whatever. They just like in the magazine were like, this guy's in his 20s and like,
yeah.
Oh really? Okay.
I kept it at that. They didn't really ask. Some people asked how old I was, and I was like, I'll keep you guessing, man. So
I'm 35.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So some people, like I said, my father was there and I was there, and when they'd have a question, like technical one, my father would try to say, okay, you got a more technical question, go to him because he's the one who knows everything about the speaker, and they wouldn't ask it. They'd look at me and then they keep talking to him. I'm like, all right, if you think I can't answer it, that's fine. Try and answer it yourself. So there were some people who would, you feel it. But
yeah, for sure.
we're really talking about 3% of the show. 97% of the show was phenomenal. The people were really nice, really welcoming. The people I worked with, like there's one guy called Mark Fried. What a phenomenal guy! Oh my God, he was
very familiar. Who is he affiliated with?
He's Axpona. He's one of the main coordinators, directors, and financial something. And he's the one who got me into Axpona and guided me through the whole process because this was my first audio show. And I'll say without him, I probably wouldn't be able to get even half as far. So he would make sure that press would come in. We got a very nice review off of Stereo File. We had some people might know him, Cheese from radio show.
Ray knows him.
And
he's a Chicago guy.
Sorry?
He's a Chicago guy. So people, in the Chicago area, they know him.
Yeah. So he was also really nice. And then there were some other people who wrote reviews on it on the internet. And it's good. That publicity is the main reason I went there. And that's exactly what I got. And I'll tell you that there is no better feeling than having these people who've been in the industry with such experienced ears. When they sit down and I turn a song and then they're like, yeah, it's like they like what they hear. I'm like, let's go, and every song that we're able to put on, they'd be happy with it. So it's the feeling that you get there, that itself alone was worth going to the show.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I know you talked about how you had the bookshelf and you wanted something that was more full range, had a little bit more bass punch, and you ended up going for adding on that dedicated bass woofer. What also prompted you to do like the AMT tweeter and the Diapolito mid ranges? And what made you go for that seal design? Just talk about kind of like some of the design choices you made for the speaker and challenges that were associated with them.
Okay, well, to start off with the challenges, because first came the design, and ideally you should start with the sound, and then you should build the box around it. And what we did is we did it completely opposite. We started with the actual speaker itself, and then we did all the math to make it sound good. So the reason for why a lot of speakers look the same, the box, is because that's the look that sounds best. And with the way that the baffle is shaped, with the way that the waves wrap around the box, because we do not have a baffle, we also had to take that into account. The fact that there are individual chambers, the fact that it is sealed, there was a load of math that had to go into it to optimize the volumes of each chamber. Matter of fact, using aluminum is very risky because it resonates. And when you hold up, when we were assembling it, if you'd hold one of the pieces or one of the chambers and hit it, it's a bell, and it's a loud one too. And to nullify that, we made the geometry. The way that it's machined is it's got it's a tapered cylinder with rounded edges, and it makes it impossible for standing waves to reverberate inside of the chamber, adding the chamber making its own resonances. And it's also very well dampened with fiberglass. The way that it's even assembled from to make it look as if there is almost no screws holding the whole thing together aside from the drivers.
Yep.
We used a threaded rod to go through the entire length of it and screw the whole thing together, as opposed to just screwing one piece to the other, to the other, to the other. So we make the whole thing rigid, and that also allows it to have, I guess, a more uniformly distributed density. So every chamber, like you see the black part, obviously the panels are attached as well. But every chamber for each woofer is made of one solid piece of aluminum. Even the woofer, that starts off as a 200-pound blank, and it's machined down to that tapered hexagon that you see over there with the same geometry on the inside. And also the benefit of it being from one solid piece is you are able to get an incredibly tight and powerful response out of a sealed chamber. So that aspect of aluminum is what allowed us to get a great sound out of the speaker, because we did have, I guess you could say, prototype of this made out of MDF with the same volumes, the same distribution, and it sounded great. But as soon as we put the, everything, we transfer everything from it, all the crossovers, the drivers, it was so much better in the aluminum, which is exactly what we were hoping for. So, and when it comes to the tweeter, I love ribbons and air motions. I think they have such clarity. They're so crispy that I obviously wanted to utilize one of them. And the one that we use is actually an Arum Cantus AST, a bunch of numbers following that. And it is a dipole tweeter. That's the one benefit of it, is that it's open back as well. And the chamber, as you can see on that first speaker over there, it's open. There is no chamber there. It's just got its, there you go, perfect. It's not confined in its own enclosure, so the waves do bounce back and deepen the soundstage of the listening room. And that's also one of the reasons we brought the mirrors into the showroom. So it was a minor difference, but it was there. It did help with the sound. And people also asked why the panels on the side, primarily for aesthetics. But we did do some simulating, and we did see that the waves that wrap around the speaker could possibly cause interference in some select rooms. So we made the panels, the angle of the front lip on the panels, try to
taper it off.
Yeah. On the front of them, as you see over there.
Yeah. It's the same on the back, yeah. So
to have it like nullify those wraparounds a little bit.
Oh my God, what am I doing? I'm hitting the wrong button, that's why.
That's okay, no problem. So that's pretty much how it is. There was a lot of things that had to be accounted for. The crossover designing took almost as long as it took to make the freaking speaker. Many iterations of that, and everything we do is done by hand. The only thing that we do outside of the country is the physical machining of the parts, but it's all assembled here, and the crossovers and everything. Do you want to also talk about the Triumph? Because I know you mentioned that before.
The sorry, say that again.
Triumph.
Oh yes, the triumphing. Yes, of course. Let's say hi again to some people in the audience that just joined. We got Audio Acoustic Engineering. Scotty's here. We got Punk Floyd 4 Eyes. We have a few audience questions. If we can just answer those real quick too.
Yeah. What do you want to do first?
Audio system specialist saying, what method for dampening was used to maximize the clean output?
Okay. So as I said before, we did use fiberglass insulation on the inside of the chambers, on the walls. So that was to help with the resonances on the inside. But the primary help to making sure that there was no standing waves was the actual shape of the enclosure itself on the inside. If I could share my screen, I have a cross section of the entire speaker.
Oh man, that would be so sick. If you can, you could email it to me really quick. I could probably pull it up in time before we're done here.
Okay.
I'll try. Okay, we'll try to multitask here. And then Audio System Specialist also says the backet is billet CNC cut. Maybe the back is CNC billet cut.
As in the back of what? The chambers?
The bracket.
The bracket.
Oh, the bracket.
Yeah.
Oh, the bracket. Are you talking? Let me ask him to clarify. Audio System Specialist, can you clarify? Are you talking about like the pole that goes all the way through? Oh, the basket driver. The basket driver is CNC billet cut.
Oh, the basket of the actual driver itself.
What's this part here that's holding the driver? I'm thinking.
I'll just say that everything is made of CNC. It's all aluminum. 100% of the speaker is aluminum, from the stand to the parts in between it, to the front, to the side, to the rear of it is all CNC machined aluminum.
Is all the drivers SP acoustics?
Aside from the tweeter, yes, it's all SP acoustics.
Awesome. I love them.
Oh yeah.
SP is like the future.
Yeah, they're high excursion woofer is what we decided to use, and I'll tell you, when you push that thing, it looks like it's about to jump out of its suspension. So
I have the 5 1/4s, and they move a lot. Like, I'm impressed with what they're making.
Oh yeah,
I love what they're doing.
And that also, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, do you want to talk about the triamping?
Sure. So here, I'm trying to pull up this thing as we're talking. I noticed that on a lot of the high-end speakers, they do allow you the option to have 2 pairs of terminals or 3 pairs of terminals, so you can hook up multiple amplifiers to each speaker. And we wanted to give people that option as well. It also makes it look more high-end that you can hook up to 3 amplifiers to each speaker. And even though we try to get the response as flat as possible from the speaker, So you can use one amplifier, just as we displayed in that show.
Mhm.
You do have the option to customize the sound, because each, the crossover, as you can see right there, it's segmented for each
Mhm.
part of the speaker. So you can pretty much adjust the volume of everything, do the equalization settings if you want to use 2 or 3 amplifiers. There was one guy who said that the room was too boomy, there was too much bass. There were other people who said that they wish that there was a little bit less soprano. Like you said, sound is subjective. You can't satisfy everyone, but at least you do have that option to make it sound just right according to your tastes. It is a bit of an expensive option because you have to buy one amplifier for each channel you want to control, but it's there if you want to.
Awesome.
And when it's not in use, I don't know if you had another picture. We have CNC machined high purity copper bridges that also, I guess, add to the rear of the design.
That's
Let me,
insane.
let me pull
What are
that.
the crossover cutoffs from like the tweeter to the mid range to the woofer?
Okay, so when it comes to that, no. That was another staple of our success. Trying to get that perfect frequency. The tweeter itself is very efficient. I believe it's like 98 decibels. Um, so what we did is to soften up the sound. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So to
copper.
soften up the sound of the speaker itself, like the mids and highs, we crossed over the mid ranges at around 5500 hertz. So that's relatively high.
Yeah, that's very high.
And that actually is why we use 2 mid ranges for each speaker, because originally it was just going to be one. We were going to have the woofer, tweeter, and mid range. But we were able to get a good sound, but that section of sound wasn't loud enough. So we added another mid range, and that was the key for that. So as you guys said, it wasn't too bright, it wasn't too fatiguing, and that's a big helping factor that the tweeter itself isn't crossed over as low as a lot of other people do it, because it's very, very sensitive. And the woofer helps the mid ranges. It's crossed over at 350, a very gradual crossover. So the lower end, because the mids do have pretty small enclosure, as well as it's sealed, it's also helped out by the woofer itself. So the idea behind the crossovers is to have the whole thing blend in to be one speaker, so you can't actually hear each segment. It's supposed to blend in nicely, and that's what I believe we achieved with that.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. If you could send me that picture, we can talk about that really quick. That'd be awesome.
Yep. I'm trying. Okay, I cannot. Just give me 1 second. If you guys want to talk about something.
No,
I
definitely.
have another question. Why use the aluminum series of SP Acoustics instead of the ceramic series?
Because it's white. And
That's it? Damn!
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I did experiment with those two. I ordered a bunch of speakers off of Mad Sound, and I selected the best ones. And we were able to get impeccable sound with both mid ranges. They're pretty much identical for the fact that one has ceramic and one has crimped aluminum. The ceramic, the point behind ceramic, from what they say, is to have very good rigidity of the cone. And the aluminum ones, they say, also are super rigid because they are crimped. And if you look very closely, you don't have to pull it up. But the mid-range itself has these little lines.
Yeah, little cuts in it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's supposed to help with maintaining this rigid geometry. And when we put the white ones in the cabinet, we're like, it doesn't look good. As I said, the aesthetics for this thing are very important. So maybe if we come out with a different color for the speaker, then I might utilize those, tweak the crossover a little bit to accept them. But
Did you
that's
hear a difference though, or do they
sorry.
sound exactly the same?
You
Did
know,
you hear a difference?
to the people that I was working with and to my ears, we couldn't hear a difference. Um, when we measured it, in the anechoic chamber, the dead room with the spikes on the walls,
Mhm.
we we measured a little bit of it was able to go a little bit deeper in the chambers. But either way, we were able to account for that with the woofer. So, I mean, I'm only talking about a couple hertz lower. So, you really couldn't hear the difference, and visually there was a big difference. So
Yeah.
when we worked out the two, when we graphed out the whole frequency, we got it identical on the computer. So, acoustically, I was the same. They even have a carbon fiber version of those woofers, which looks great. Um, but they don't have a carbon fiber version of the woofer. If they come out with that, you can probably expect to see it in an upcoming model.
Hey, that's gonna be cool.
Awesome.
Oh yeah,
Now the ceramic one doesn't come in black. It's just white.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
the ceramic color is right, right? And if they
yeah.
paint it black, it would like add
I
weight
mean,
to it
yeah,
and make it
it would
slower.
change. Could you imagine someone just like,
Yeah. Just be
I'm
like,
gonna
I'll just paint it black.
take that one
It's gonna
black.
sound horrible.
Yeah.
you know,
They do
uh,
have they do
yes,
have a gray, like a dark gray in the Accuton ceramics. The Accuton ceramics come in a very dark gray. That's what
yeah,
Estelon uses in their Forza series.
yeah, they do, they do. I mean, I'm wondering how, because they do that, and they also have the ceramic dome ones, which look awesome, but they only come in white. So I don't understand how some companies, I guess it's a custom order, they get it in black, because those black ceramic dome woofers just look awesome. But
Just like the Martin audio ones. They came with the black ones, right?
hmm
Those are cool.
exactly, exactly.
Gotta get some connections up there. Maybe they'll do whatever.
I mean,
They'll do pink.
no, I don't want that.
You
But
don't want pink? Come on, bro.
no, no, no. This is supposed to be a masculine design, you know. It's um,
Wait,
Pink was
you're
a
saying
masculine.
pink is not masculine? What do
Pink
you
was a
mean?
mas- I'll give. Hey, wait. I'll give you the historical fact. Pink was a masculine color until the early 1900s. George Washington wore a pink suit in a lot of battles.
I wear pink, bro. You just call me feminine?
For some reason, like the early 1900s, like pink like transitioned to this feminine color from like a very masculine color. Like if you wore pink like if you were in the 1800s and wore pink, you had to be like the guy. Like you had to be so rich to have a pink suit. Like
That's
you had to be
okay,
crazy.
super rich or super important. Like the pink suit guys were like, they were the top dogs.
okay. Hold on. Let me try to. Let me try to.
And tangent.
Imagine if Batman was pink. You never see him coming.
Coming.
Here, there is a screenshot, and there it goes.
Okay, let's see if we can get it up.
It's tilted sideways. I don't know why.
We can make this work. Let's see.
I replied to the email with the questions.
Yeah, I got the picture. Let's see. I'm gonna adjust. I know how to
Oh
flip
yeah, see,
this.
when it comes audio systems, what you commented, purple? Yeah, purple is cool. A deep anodized purple color, that I would do, absolutely. But pink, no, I'm not cool with pink.
You should do like the Nissan color, the like midnight purple on your speakers. It will
On
look
the,
amazing.
oh yeah, on the old Skyline, what they're doing,
Yeah.
the iridescent
Or the
one.
jade. Yeah, that would be amazing.
hmm Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, if the company goes well and we're able to get our own finishing department, then the sky's the limit. But as of right now, we are limited to what the actual machinists can apply to that finish.
I already see the website. You can paint any color but pink.
Okay, I got that. We got it.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
cool.
So I'll zoom in a little bit here too, so we can see like the individual chambers and such.
There you go.
How did you pass through like the cables?
Through the
See
To
middle,
that?
like the speakers, yeah.
through the the middle bar here, or no, that's a solid bar, right? So
Yeah.
you have like a little probably gap here or something.
Actually, in front of it. You see in
Oh, in
front
front
of
of it.
it.
Oh, okay. This little tube here.
Yeah.
I see
And
it.
there's
Yeah.
the two bridges that hold the tweeter in place, that little thing. It's
Mhm.
got like 2 millimeter holes drilled into the actual, those little shafts. So when it comes to wiring, we went as tight with this as possible. Also to hide it. Um, yeah, that's pretty much how it looks on the inside. So
Awesome. This is super cool to see.
hmm and that's also like how big it is in comparison to the drivers as well. So
Yeah, I see the driver outline as well in there. That's super cool.
and all the components are packed in the bottom of it, in the bottom of the woofer, because that's the only chamber that's big enough to house anything.
Mhm.
Hold on, let me find this one email again.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, and let's see what's the. Do we have anything else from the comments? I'll send
Not
you
yet. Unicorn hair cables.
unicorn air cables.
Because
What?
the chamber for it is so small.
Oh, for the tweeter itself. For the tweeter itself, we use very, very fine gauge. I believe it's 24 gauge cables. But anyway, from 5,500 hertz and up, you're only getting a couple watts into it, so that's plenty.
Mhm.
Everything else uses fat cables. So,
For sure. So what's so I know we talked you said possibly the company evolving, having your own machining department, maybe some carbon fiber woofers if SB Acoustics comes out with a woofer in the carbon fiber design. But what's next for Malbork?
so I guess I can answer that like this. We went to the show primarily to get contacts. And we did. We got good networking, and we have actually a supplier that's very interested, a distributor in Canada. So, depending, like, we haven't sold any of these speakers yet. We still need a lot more exposure, and people need to be able to experience, listen to them, because, at the end of the day, you can't really judge how something sounds by a picture on the internet. So, hopefully we get that working. There's a lot of showrooms here in Florida that we're also trying to get in contact with, and we're also supposed to have a scheduled meeting. So based on how the volume of the speakers that we're able to sell, that's how much we'll be able to devote into actually furthering our independence when it comes to manufacturing. Because machines are expensive. This requires 5-axis CNC machining. So for those of you who don't know, there's 3, 4, and 5. And a 3-axis machine costs around 50 to 100. 4 is like 100 to 250, and 5, the ones that this was made on, was around 800,000. It's kind of a big investment.
Jeez.
Holy crap!
So, and also, that's just the machining aspect of it. Then we have to have a laser engraver, which also has for this. So that's another couple grand. And we also need an anodization department. And it's a very complicated process. You have huge vats of different liquids and chemicals and acids. It's a big project. We need a couple million to actually
For sure. Wow.
have our own manufacturing like that. But if it goes well, oh yeah, I would so totally have that over here, because then I'd be able to work with designs and prototypes, and all the shows I'd go to, I'd have like 10 different designs,
That's
so
awesome.
that would be it.
So where can people order the Warsaw currently? Or what's the process if someone wants to order this?
Yeah, everything is up and ready. So Everything is, like I said, custom built by hand. It is made to order. We don't have any in stock, and it takes up to 3 months to have it delivered to your door from the time that you place the order. Right now, with things going on in the Ukraine and everything, those was one of the biggest aluminum suppliers.
Mm.
We're saying it's gonna be around 3 months. Normally, it's supposed to be around 2, but we add that extra one just to be certain that we get it in that time.
Okay.
And it's fairly simple. We have our website, which is malborkdesigns.com, and we have our contact information there, as well as the specifications for the speaker, really in depth, and there's everything. And we can work out actually how you want to pay for it, how quickly you want to maybe distribute it into payments or something like that. But it's all up and running. We have everything down to a science in terms of logistics and how we're able to get the speaker from point A to point B, because it is heavy. It's 123 pounds a piece.
Yeah. Awesome. And
Wait,
if
how
people,
much are they for like pricing?
65,000.
65,000.
Mm-hmm.
and if people want to find you, I know you're on Instagram at Malbork Designs.
Yeah.
Is there anything anywhere else?
As of right now, no. I did have a Facebook account, but they threatened to terminate it, and I don't know why. And then they terminated it. So I don't have Facebook anymore. So it's right now it's just Instagram, and I like Instagram the most. It's
Same.
so
You guys should do like a YouTube. Do videos on it, talking about the details and stuff. That'll be cool.
I mean, I did consider that actually. We do have a channel started, but we don't have any videos on it yet. If we get into having it in the showrooms, maybe, then possibly, because we have different changes of settings, different people listening to it. So yeah, it's definitely an option. But right now, I'll just stick to Instagram, just to keep it simple.
For sure. Well, this has been awesome. Any other questions in the chat? Put them now. We're gonna wrap up pretty soon here. I think that you've definitely made a very big impression here, Daniel. I think people are very impressed with you, impressed with the speakers, impressed with the company. Like we said at the very beginning, me and Base were very impressed with the sound and the look and everything of the speakers. Hoping eventually we'll get a review pair or something like that when the time
Yeah,
comes.
me and Ray had a question hashtag like joke. Can we get a pair? But then we saw the price. We're like,
Well, no, I asked Base, when we agreed to do this, I said, hey, we're gonna do this with Daniel, and he's gonna be on the show and blah blah blah. And hey, just shoot me any questions that you have. And Daniel sent me a few, or Base sent me a few questions, and then the last question he said, "Can I get that review pair?"
Hey, I can do a lot of videos for you. Me and Aperian have been working out, so yeah.
If you cover shipping and you pay for insurance, maybe.
Oh, okay.
How much is that?
It's gonna be a lot. It's probably gonna be like
Yeah.
$1,200, something like that.
Oh no.
$1,200.
More? Oh man.
I had to do
Never mind.
before I got into production, and it's in the thousands.
Oh my god.
That's insane. I'll wait till everything comes back to normal. The shipping prices and everything.
I gotta go buy. All right, I gotta go buy a lotto ticket after that. That's what I heard.
Sure, buy one for me too. How about that?
Most definitely. I'll pay for shipping, and then you'll get that 5-point CNC machine.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's good. If you guys are ever from Florida, it's about time that I know Daniel hasn't been here.
Yeah, I haven't been in Florida.
So, if you want to come and go do a visit here, it'll probably be cheaper.
That's true. It would be cheaper for us to fly there than to have the speaker shipped out. Most definitely.
Yeah, honestly. So, just saying, doors are open.
For sure. That's the thing to think about, to be honest.
And maybe also something that people might want to know, what it's like to actually get into Axpona.
Yeah, sure.
It really isn't easy. I'll be honest with that. We just managed to jump on the boat as it was swimming away. We got one of the last rooms available because we only finished this, assembled it together, and finished the testing about 2 months before Axpona.
Wow.
So it's still warm. The speaker is still warm from the production line, and it's expensive. The small room that we were in was 4,250, and then you also have to account for insurance, another 100. You want to be in an advertisement, which we were in the book, 1,000 per page. You want Wi-Fi so you can stream audio. They offer a premium Wi-Fi because they blocked it on the guest network. So that's another $250 a day.
Wow.
A lot of things you have to take into account, logistics and everything. We drove from Florida with these speakers. So where you're gonna sleep, how it's gonna look, what we did pretty much is we made an identical room in our guest bedroom, size-wise, and to make sure that everything sounds good. Where we're gonna place the acoustic panels, because that's also very, very important. Put a carpet down, the exact same chairs. The room sounded different, actually, based on how many chairs there were sitting there. So a lot of things that you need to take into account. So, but it was definitely good. If anyone hasn't been at an audio show, you gotta go. Spectator or
Yeah. I had the most fun of my life there. I was waking up like an hour early and be like, Ray, wake up. We cannot be late.
yeah,
That was super fun.
Most
awesome,
definitely.
awesome. Absolutely.
This has been awesome, and best of luck to you, man. I hope that you get your machine. I hope that this company takes off for you and everything. It's definitely been a pleasure to talk to you here. I hope that we're helping you out a little bit too, with the posts on Instagram and doing this live here. And appreciate everyone that's joined us for this live and is going to join it in the future and see the stuff here. So it's been a pleasure, and it's been awesome talking to you.
Thank
For
you
sure.
guys. It's an honor as well. I really appreciate it. You two are awesome. I kind of don't remember you guys at the show just because there were that many people there. But now that I saw him in that reflection, I know exactly at what time you were there. So that was pretty good. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, you guys are a big help to the Instagram as well. I know there is some traffic thanks to you guys shouting it out because it means a lot. Every little bit helps. So yeah, thank you very much. And if you ever want to make another collab, I'm absolutely down for it.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, we appreciate it. Well, thanks again, Daniel. Really appreciate it. And we'll be talking in the future. And good luck to Malbork. And everyone, there'll be a link in the description as well where you can check out malborkdesigns.com and check out the speakers and everything, and maybe order one yourself. So thanks everyone for joining. This has been an interview with Daniel from Malbork. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Good night.
See you guys. Thanks for
everyone.
coming, Daniel.